Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 13, Social Emotional Development. And we're going to start with fact or fiction. And number one, school-age children typically are more self-critical than they were when they were younger. And this is actually true. Number two, children in a shared home environment tend to react to family situations in a similar way. This is not true, and you can see this very easily with siblings. Number three, acceptance by their peer group is more important to school-age children than having a few close friends. This is not true. We know that friendships are really key. And number four, bullying during middle childhood seems to be universal. And this is true, unfortunately, a huge issue in our society. Culture and cohort effect, basically what makes a child well-liked or not. In North America, shy children are not popular. One 1990 study in Shanghai, China found that shy children were respected and often popular. In a new survey from the same Shanghai schools, researchers found that shy children were less popular than their shy predecessors had been, and fewer children identified themselves as shy. So we can even see how perceptions of shyness have changed since like 1990 to 20 years later. So friendship and social acceptance is about children learning how to be good friends. They understand about gender differences, and boys and girls both want to have best friends. And popular and unpopular children is definitely an issue. Aggressive and rejected children are disliked because they're antagonistic and confrontational. And withdrawn, rejected children are disliked because they're timid and anxious. And basically, children at this age become socially aware, and they kind of know where they fall in terms of whether they're popular or not. So social acceptance. In this study, children in different grades were asked which classmate were popular and which classmates they liked the most. Notice that by ninth grade, there was little relationship between being viewed as in the popular group and being seen as well-liked. In general, researchers find that elementary school popular children are frequently named in the most liked category and never appear in the disliked group. They stand out as being really liked by everyone, by both the teachers and classmates. Average children receive few most liked and perhaps one or two disliked nominations, ranking around the middle range of status in the class. Rejected children land in the disliked category often, never appear in the preferred group, and stand out among their classmates in a negative way. Some children may be classified as neglected. They receive no nominations, positive or negative, and don't seem to be on the classroom radar. A few children could be considered controversial because their names turn up frequently in both most liked and most disliked lists. For instance, class clones or the aggressive child who's socially skilled and provokes a love or hate in response. Late one afternoon, there was a boy who was playing with a ball on his own in the garden. His dad saw him playing with it and asked him not to play with it so near the house because it might break a window. The boy didn't really listen to his dad and carried on playing near the house. Then suddenly, the ball bounced up high and broke the window in the boy's room. His dad heard the noise and came to see what happened. The father wonders what would be the fairest way to punish the boy. He thinks of two punishments. The first is to say, now you didn't do as I asked, you will have to pay for the window to be mended, and I'm going to take the money from your pocket money. The second is to say, now you didn't do as I asked. As a punishment, you have to go to your room and stay there for the rest of the evening. Which of these punishments do you think is the fairest? So this is the, when we're talking about the moral dilemma, how people feel. When hearing of an act of harm, kids have an initial punitive reaction that gradually shifts towards asking a transgressor to reverse repair what they'd done. Discussing the issue with others has an additional effect, which is chart 2. It makes kids more likely to apply this reparative moral code to future situations. And this is showing you the difference. What other possible long-term consequences might be there for a bully or the victim? Bullying can be prevented. A review in all research on successful ways to halt bullying finds 1. Everyone in the school must change, not just the identified bullies. 2. Intervention is more effective in the earlier grades. And 3. Evaluation is critical. Programs that appear to be good might actually be harmful. And there's this new movie out now that many of you may have seen. I have not had a chance to take my kids to see it yet, but it's called Bullying, and it's about a documentary, and it's supposed to be pretty amazing. And bullying is repeated, systematic efforts to inflict harm through physical, verbal, or social attack on a weaker person. And a bully victim is someone who attacks others and who is attacked as well. Many studies show that children are much less affected by shared environment or influences that are the same for people, such as by children raised by the same parents in the same home, than by non-shared environment, which are the different experiences two people have. But the above conclusion about parents was based on the false assumption that children raised together share the same home environment. For instance, if the family moves, if parents divorce, or if one or both parents lose a job, every child in the family is affected. But the impact depends on each child's age, genes, resilience, and gender. Also, remember, children, unless they're twins, have different home environments because they have a different mix of siblings. So whether you're the older child or the youngest child or the middle child can affect also what's happening in the home. So, like we're talking about the shared parent influences or moves, job changes, divorce, family, socioeconomic status, you would think that would affect all the children the same, and it does not. And non-shared would be age, genes, gender, school and after-school activities. Keep in mind that function is more important than structure in every developmental period. No matter what the structure, such as a nuclear family, extended family, step family, and so on, people need family love and encouragement. So, what do children ages 6 to 11 need from their families? Although children eat, dress, and sleep without help, families can furnish food, clothing, and shelter. Families can basically support and encourage and guide education. We also have an impact on basically where our kids go to school. Self-respect, because children become self-critical and socially aware, families can provide opportunities for success. And they can help with friendships in terms of creating play dates and opportunities for them to be interacting with other children. And they can provide predictive routines for their child. U.S. children in single mother households do much better if their father pays child support, even if he's not actively involved in the child's daily life. You know, you can see that as being very big in terms of just the mother not having the stress of finances. Nations that subsidize single parents, such as Austria and Iceland, also have similar achievement gaps between low and middle income SES children. Also, children in nuclear families suffer if their parents abuse each other or if one parent walks out, leaving the other distraught. So stress in families has a huge impact in children. So just because a child is coming from a high income family, if there's high conflict, it's not going to make it better for the child. So we're talking about Erikson's psychoanalytic theory. In Erikson's industry versus inferiority, which is the fourth stage of psychosocial development, children attempt to master many skills, developing a sense of themselves as industrious or inferior, competent or incompetent. So, boys stink is something that a girl may say. Girls stay away is something that boys may say. Freud's term for middle childhood is latency, during which children's emotional drives and psychosexual needs are quiet, latent. Freud thought that sexual conflicts from earlier stages are only temporarily submerged, bursting forth again at puberty. Younger children think of themselves in terms of the pronoun I. That is a subject that is a person who thinks, acts, and feels independently. In middle childhood, children think of themselves in terms of the pronoun me. That is an object that is a person reflected, validated, and critiqued by others. And what affects children's perceptions of themselves? A lot of it is social comparisons, where they're looking at how they're doing compared to other kids their age. Back in 2005, when Hurricane Katrina destroyed the city of New Orleans, the children there experienced more than one kind of severe stress during and after the storm. This event inflicted more stress on these children than most adults experience in a lifetime, and its long-term impact will likely be dramatic. Keep in mind about all children, resilience is dynamic in that it is not a stable trait. A person may be resilient at some periods, but not at others. So, stress experienced by New Orleans children, many of them had to move, separated from their caregivers, transferred to new schools, lost a family or friend, had a parent who was unemployed, and separated from a pet. You can see all the stress involved in what happened. And some of the kids were resilient and were able to come out of this without a lot of issues, and other kids are, even to this day are still having some issues based on it. So that is it for chapter 13. What I'd like you to do now is go into the form section and respond to the questions about friendships.